What is up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. You got the usual Wednesday crew, AP, DC, myself. There's not a lot of time to be BSing today, though. We got a massive 13-game slate, a bunch of news to get into. So we're going to get right into it. First, I'm going to throw it to my boy, AP. How was your Wednesday? How's everything going in the basketball streets?
My Wednesday's going good. Out of respect to K Fallick, I'm not going to say anything else because we got 13 games to get to. If we don't get through them all, K Fallick's going to be on our ass in chat. So I'm ready to dive in, boys.
Hey, Fally definitely will be in chat. He's gonna be hassling me and getting on my back the whole time. I know that. We got Derek in chat saying, if you pay $12K for Giannis, you deserve to lose. I'm looking at you, Title Town. Hey, people were saying that same thing yesterday, and I took my 61 piece right to the bank. So, hey, you guys can fade Giannis if you want. You're not going to recommend the fade over here from me, especially with all this value, but we'll get into that. DC, you got the Chiefs hat. I don't have my Packers hat. We're fighting over OBJ right now. Yeah, I'll throw it to you, though. We don't need to talk too much about OBJ. Chat will go crazy about that, but you can talk a little bit about it. Talk about your Wednesday in this basketball slate.
This is a no-nonsense NBA Wednesday show. I like it. Down to business, not upsetting K Fallick or any of you other hardcore grinders. So we won't spend too much time on it, but I do have the Chiefs hat on. I'm trying to manifest Odell Beckham to the Chiefs. He's the only man that can save Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. So we need him. And if he gets there, he's going to transform the whole offense. I'm back on board. Let's go.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting where he goes. Should be here. I think tonight probably. We'll see. K Fallick's in chat. He's already trying. Can we get a tutorial of AP's heat map? He loves trying to push me back and make sure it goes a little long. The people know about AP's heat map. If you're not a member, I don't know what you're doing, first of all, but if you're not a member, you do get AP's heat map, core plays, playbook, cash chart, all that. RPS heater 25 gets you 25% off. We appreciate everyone hanging us in chat. Reeser, Brusa, B. Cole, Brittany, Stephen Coy. Thank you guys for hanging out. Like we said, though, 13 games, not too much time to mess around, but we can't miss this segment, the members never win segment. We had a ton of hits yesterday in NBA. A lot of them aren't even on this member never win the screenshots right now, but tons of big ones yesterday for the three-gamer. But first, NHL, Mike won $16,000. Congrats to you, Mike. Matty Ice and EJ have been crushing it. NBA, Slick Derulo, 25K. TMR06, $67,000. Tyler Roberson, I believe. He's always in chat. Congrats to you. Mike J won $118,000 in NBA. Then in NFL, we had Showdown win. Matt S won $30,000. And then Mike in NFL, he won the $500,000 with the backup QB last week. Awesome. Congrats to you. Those are big scores. And those are only a very few of those screenshots that I saw on Discord yesterday. People absolutely crushing. The NBA content's been on fire. But hey, that's enough stroking right now. We have 13 games. I'll make sure we keep it on pace. There better be no comments in chat right now saying, let's get into the plays, blah, 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 because this is the fastest you will ever see us get it right into the games. But hey, it's time to get in. We're going to dive right into the first game. Hit the like and subscribe for us, though, please. We appreciate it. The Brooklyn Nets, the Orlando Magic. We have a 210.5 over-under. The Nets are favored by 9.5. I'm just going to go right to you, DC. The floor is yours. Talk about this game.
Yeah, not a game that I have a ton of exposure to. Obviously, Kevin Durant, James Harden, always fine plays, but just, I don't know. I mean, Durant, yes, he scored 58 fantasy points last time, but in general, his ceiling just doesn't seem quite the same to me as guys that you're paying up for. And by the way, the DraftKings pricing today, it's like they've turned up the volume. I think there's 20 guys over almost 20 guys over 10K. Our first guy, Giannis, over 12K on the season. What do we have over 11K? Is another 6 guys, something like that. So
it's crazy.
Interesting play, for a 13 gamer. They're trying to make it, I think, maybe a little bit tough. We'll see if it continues. But back to Brooklyn and Orlando, mostly a fade here, honestly, for me, unless we get unexpected news, which doesn't seem like we will. Cole Anthony, you're not going to pay at least I'm not going to pay 7.7K, despite how good he's been. Just too high for me, all-time high price point for him. So, yeah, not a ton here. Probably a fade on this first game of the night for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. There's only 2 games to lock at 7 p.m. Eastern, too. We have some news later, so I don't think you need to just go all out in this game. I think a full fade makes a lot of sense. You made a good point though. Yeah, when I was looking at the pricing yesterday, the guys over 10, like LaMelo's finally there. I think DeJounte's 9.7. Completely opposite on FanDuel, where not a lot of guys are priced over the 10K range. So definitely a big difference between the sites. AP, I'll throw it to you. How do you see this first game, the Nets and the Magic?
Yeah, I don't really understand what DraftKings doing with pricing here. I mean, why is James Harden 10-6? I mean, he's got no ceiling right now. And the other problem with Harden is you never know if he's going to like want to shoot the ball or not. I mean, we saw 11 field goal attempts against Chicago, 20 against Toronto, but then 10 against Detroit. He had 9 the first time they played Detroit. So I'm not playing Harden. Today there's so much value. I wouldn't blame someone if they wanted to play like a KD for, the raw points that you're going to get with him. But I'm probably not going there. And then the scrub plays on the Nets. It's just they're not doing much. So I think they're easy fades. And then it's a 13-game slate. I'm not going to play the Magic guys. I mean, Jalen Suggs hasn't looked very good recently. I mean, Cole Anthony's been carrying this team, but they can throw Bruce Brown on him, and he's been a good defender. And actually, when he's in there, their defense gets much better. So this game's a fade for me, and I feel pretty good about that.
3 for 3 for the fades. I think that's how you should approach it too. 13 games. How you make it easier is you cross off some games. I think this is one you should cross off. It's a couple people in chat. Nadesify saying $8 into $3,000 on Sunday. You're always in Discord. Congrats to you. That's a great win. And then we got Paul shipped 19,000 last night. I'm not going to stop saying that's still crazy. That is crazy, Paul. $19,000. Congrats to you. Awesome win. A lot of big wins yesterday, like I did say. Hit the like, hit the subscribe for us, please. Gary and our boy Gary says Playbook is live. So if you're a member, get in Run Pure Sport. Check out the website. Check out the playbook for this big 13-game slate. See how Gary is breaking it down. We're going to go over to the next game, though. The other game that locks at 7 p.m. Eastern. We got the Washington Wizards and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Washington is favored by 3, a 209 over-under. But there's some big news in this game. Colin Sexton is out for the foreseeable future. Kevin Love's still out. Lauri Markkanen's still out. Isaac Okoro is questionable, which isn't the biggest news, but that would be another body that they don't have that is going to get some minutes if he plays. So it's a little bigger news than usual. Still, this game, Ricky Rubio is only 5.2K on DraftKings. He put up a 60-piece last game. He was playing good minutes and being productive with them when Sexton was in. Now he's out. Feels like one of the best plays on the slate, a lock and loading cash games. I'm going to go to UAP, though. What are you doing with Rubio in tournaments? And then talk about the other people in this game.
Yeah, I mean, a lock in cash and a good play in tournaments. I mean, we saw what he did against the Knicks. This he's been getting it done in somewhat limited time off the bench all season. And I've been looking especially over on fantasy draft at super draft, I've played him a bunch over there just because you get like a nice 1.6x. And this was like when he was coming off the bench. Now he's going to get starter type minutes here, even though he's probably not going to start. Do you guys know off the top of your head? Actually, I can pull it up here in a second, but I don't think he started against. No, he didn't start against the Knicks. So. Most people out there are sharp and just the early tilters in Discord are going to be the only people that get fooled by Ricky Rubio, assuming he doesn't get the start. But
I think Sexton got hurt during that game, I believe, right?
You're right.
If Okoro plays, though,
yeah,
there still is a path he might not start. It's not guaranteed. If Okoro does. They could go Garland, Okoro. They could go that route. Dean Wade, Mobley, they could go that route if they wanted.
Maybe
it's not. I'm just saying. We'll get the news before, but it's not a lock. I don't think.
Either way, I'm playing him even in my tournament builds. I just think he's a very good play. Then the other thing too is these bigs, especially mobile bigs, have had a ton of success against the Wizards. They've actually been a little bit better against post bigs. And, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, both of them are pretty mobile. Both of them can run the pick and roll. I think Ricky Rubio also helps them with how he likes to distribute the ball. So I think what you do here, it's a low total game. You don't need to run it back with anyone, but I think you can run Ricky Rubio plus Evan Mobley plus Jared Allen. Like I think that is a viable route, and it's a way to get a little bit different because I don't think a lot of people are going to do that on the slate. So for me, I like those three guys. I'm off the scrubs like Dean Wade, never playing that guy. Okoro, never playing him. Not playing Chetty Osman on this slate, and I'm not running it back with any Wizards.
AP, we got the exact same take on this game. I love the Cavaliers side of this game. You know, the good players that are left, right? Not the scrubs. Like, and part of the reason, you know, Ricky Rubio, Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, I think all three of those guys, specifically Rubio, I think he'll start even if he doesn't. I think he's an awesome play. I think are great plays. I'll throw Darius Garland in the mix too. I know he's a little bit more expensive, 6,600. But you look at the wing guys for Cleveland. I mean, Wade, Chetty Osman. Like last game they played Lamar Stevens and Dylan Windler. These guys don't do anything, right? Like they're out there just standing in the corner, hanging out. Evan Mobley, great young player, but more of a kind of a finisher, a shooter, not really going to create a ton of offense. Kind of the same thing with Jared Allen, right? Great rebounder, can finish dunks, but not a guy you're necessarily going to post up. So I think Rubio and Garland are going to see big minutes here. I mean, basically as many minutes as they can handle. And it's going to be those two guys with the ball a ton, running pick and roll with Jared Allen, with Mobley, you know, trying to set those guys up for shots. Man, I won't be shocked if 4 of the 5 Cavaliers starters got there. You know, Rubio, Garland, Mobley, Jared Allen. I don't know if I necessarily want to play 4 on one team, right, in a GPP on a 13-game slate. Probably just not enough meat on the bone there, but for sure 3. And I'm with you. I do have Garland as the 4th best play among those guys, but I think he's a strong play too. So I'm in on the Cavs. I don't love walking players early on a 13-game slate, but I'll do it in this case. I think these guys are really good plays.
Yeah, I think it's hard to avoid this whole game this game as a whole with Love, Market, and Sexton out. Yeah, if Rubio starts or he doesn't, like he's still an elite play at 5-2.
I'm playing him anyway. So,
yeah, he's getting the shots, the minutes, like everything's still going to be there for sure. He's going to get the usage. I like your Garland call at 6'6". I mean, it's such a short sample without Sexton, but Garland's going to be him and Rubio, the primarily ball handlers, are going to get all the usage in the world. 6'6" is still a little too cheap. Mobley, Jared Allen, both have massive floors too. So I agree with you. As far as the Wizards side, I'm not really touching any. It would be
Garland and Rubio are the only 2 ball handlers on the entire roster, pretty much. Like
Okoro, if you consider him and he plays, but that's it. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm very, very high on both those guards.
Yep. No, I definitely like it. I wouldn't run it back with anybody on the Wizards on a 13-game slate either. So yeah, definitely a game you want some. Rubio, one of the best plays on the slate, regardless if he starts or not. I think he probably will, but who knows? We'll get it before. I don't think it matters at all. Definitely, I mean, the over-under, it's low, but you shouldn't care. It's all about the minutes, the opportunity, the injuries, and the prices aren't caught up enough with the Sexton injury. So definitely a good game to target. The 2 locks at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll get into the next game, though. A 7:30 p.m. Eastern lock time. We got the Detroit Pistons and the Houston Rockets. 210.5 over-under. Houston is favored by 3.5. I'll go over to you, AP. People in chat were asking about pivots from Ricky Rubio, and if there was some. Cade Cunningham is the same price. Do you think he's a solid pivot? Is there anybody in this game you're looking at? Talk to the people.
No, I'm looking at 2 builds tonight, maybe 3, and I honestly think I'd probably lock Rubio into all 3. So I do like Cade Cunningham in this game. I mean, we get the number 1 and number 2 guys in the draft, I believe, and Cade Cunningham and Jalen Green kind of going at it today. I like Cunningham because the usage is just insane. Finally gets a matchup that he should be able to get some free looks. Like the Nets are playing good defense on him. So like Philly, not bad. Obviously, Philly hasn't been as good defensively against opposing backcourts, but the Bucks are playing good defense against him. I think this is just a matchup where I hope with all the other value on the slate, Monty Moore. I mean, we're going to get into it, but I hope that leads Cade Cunningham lower owned because I think if they let him run, I think this guy legit has 40 plus DK point upside and could be a difference maker in your lineups. And if you start with like an absolute bomb from Ricky Rubio and then follow it up with another bomb from Cade Cunningham, you got a really nice start to the night going into some of these other better games that we're going to get to. I don't, the way I might, run it back here, Daniel Theis is somewhat interesting if Sengun sits. Sengun, I forget how we pronounce it. We need our boy JT Hayes on here to help us out with pronouncing these names. Then the other news, I believe Kevin Porter is still questionable. So if those guys missed, I mean, it would make Houston a little bit more interesting. And so on the Pistons side, it's only Cade for me. I can't trust anyone else on this team. I don't trust Dwayne Casey. And then the Rockets, I don't want to necessarily run it back with anyone. I kind of hope Kevin Porter plays so that I'm not forced to really look at this game too much, just because it should be an ugly one. But I wouldn't mind a Daniel Theis potentially as a pivot, maybe off of a chalky Jeff Green. So for me, I'll just leave it with Cade Cunningham for now.
Yeah, definitely a good breakdown. The Porter news is interesting. There's so much news on the slate. We're going to get to the Denver situation, like you said, but you're definitely going to need some roster spots for some of those guys. As far as Cade, his usage rate the past 4 games, 32, 32, 24, 22. He's shooting double-digit shots. He hasn't shot well yet from the field all year. He still showed 39 DFS points in a bad shooting night. So the upside's definitely there for the price. He could nuke the slate if he gets hot, and it is a good matchup. So I do like that. As far as the Rockets, yeah, if Porter and Sengun, don't know exactly how to pronounce that name either, AP, are out, I think Jayshawn Tate maybe at 5-1 would be interesting and low owned. Christian Wood maybe without Porter gets more usage. All these guys would be low owned, and they have some upside in this game. I don't think you jam them in, but if you land as a last piece and they're both out, I wouldn't mind it. Hey, DC, going to go over to you. Talk about the Cade Cunningham, anybody on Detroit, and then what the Porter news does for you.
Yeah, I really do like Cade Cunningham. He's got some usage metrics, driving to the basket, all those things. He looks really good, been really aggressive. The big game's coming. He had a pretty big game before, but he's going to, have games this season. I think multiple games where he puts up 30 real points for this Pistons team, starved of scoring. He's a scorer. That's what he does. So, yeah, I like that call at 5,200. Big upside there. That's all from Detroit for me. I think Cunningham's an awesome play, but I don't really want anybody else. And then from the Rockets, a fade for me unless Porter misses, I think, in terms of my main lineups. If Porter's out, it does become much more interesting. He is the guy that has the ball the most for the Rockets, the primary usage guy on that team. And I think a lot of that would go to Jalen Green. So you get the showdown between the number 1, number 2 guys in the draft. I like it. I like playing those guys on the same team, but only if Porter misses. Green's still an okay play, right? For if you want to play the narrative or he's just a high upside player, I think in general. But I really like Green if Porter misses. So do pay attention to that news. And then, maybe you stack those 2 guys, watch the rookies go at it. It's a fun game to watch if you have both those guys on your team.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be a fun game regardless Cade, number 1, number 2. But yeah, I think a run back would make a little sense if he is out. If he's not out, I think we're all on the same page. There's no need to go there. Before we get in the next game, looking at the likes, 454 watching, 144 likes. That's a little hurtful. I know I haven't been on it or talking about it too much, but we definitely can do better than that. Monster 13-game slate. We're getting right into it, talking winners, a lot of injuries and stuff to break down. So we appreciate if you guys hit that thumbs up and that red subscribe button for us. And if you want to be a member and you're not a member, RPS Heater 25 gets you 25% off your first month. We're going to get into the next game, though. The Toronto Raptors and the Boston Celtics, a very low over-under at 206. Boston is favored by 2.5. Jaylen Brown still is out, so there's bumps to Tatum, who needs to take on more of a role. Horford's been really good this year. Still not a game that I have too much interest in. DC, I'm going to go back to you, though. Break it down.
Yeah, I think the Jaylen Brown news will maybe push people on to Tatum in particular, but no price break there. What is he? 10.4K, I believe, on DraftKings tonight. So
Yep.
yeah, 10.4K for Tatum. So I mean, it's not as shocking because they did push up the pricing of a number of players, but still, I don't think that's really a discount by any means for Tatum. So he's an okay play if you want to go that direction. But this game, Toronto's playing really slow. They play good defense. They've got Siakam back in the fold now, which kind of takes a lot of the luster off of those Toronto guys in general. So I'm not on the Raptors side and the Boston side. Maybe Tatum. I think Dennis Schroeder's got upside there, getting maybe some more usage with Jaylen Brown out of the lineup. But overall, I just think better spots on the 13-game slate than this total. Is this the lowest total on the slate? I think it probably is. Probably not the place I want to go. Yeah.
Yeah. 206. Obviously, we talk about it, how over-unders aren't directly correlated with DFS, but kind of two healthy teams. Toronto's definitely healthy now with Siakam back. Jaylen Brown's out, but the prices are adjusted. So I'm with you. AP, is it going to be pretty much a full fade for you, or do you have some pieces you're interested in?
Yeah, I mean, the Raptors are kind of easy to cross off tonight. And the reason is ever since like Boston had that little powwow, they've been playing better, much better defense. So, and Schroeder over the last like year and a half has actually been a decent defender. I know when he played for the Hawks, he was a guy we could pick on, but that defensive skill set is definitely something that he's improved in his game. So, and so when I look at his team, top to bottom, Marcus Smart, Tatum, Horford, and Big Bob Williams, I mean, pretty good defensive team. So Raptors for me are an easy fade. Schroeder, I have some interest in him. I mean, he played 38 minutes, almost 39 minutes, took 22 shots. We know he's a guy that can get going, can rack up those peripheral stats. And then now, with Jaylen Brown out, we only have one guy in there that likes to play that ISO ball, and Jason Tatum, square up his guy and get that shot going. So maybe we see some team ball over here, and maybe that brings in Dennis Schroeder a little bit. I'm not paying 8K for Al Horford. I'll cross him off, and I'm not playing Bob Williams. So for me, it comes down to Tatum and Schroeder are the two guys that I'm looking at, not in love with, but I do think they're in play.
Yep, I agree. Maybe a piece, maybe two pieces. I would probably say a piece max for me if I'm doing an MME and making the script. But yeah, if Tatum went and got there and went off for 65 without Jaylen Brown, I don't think any of us would be surprised at the end of the day. So I like that call for sure. We're going to get right into the next game, though. Milwaukee Bucks, the New York Knicks. The Knicks are favored by 4, a 216 over-under. Chris Middleton's still out. Brook Lopez is still out. Dante DiVincenzo is obviously still out. Yeah, someone in chat said it earlier. Giannis at 12-3. It is hefty for sure. On this slate with so many other studs, I think I am with you on DraftKings. Where 12-3, I think you can get a similar medium projection for sure for a lot cheaper. His upside obviously still there, but is on a back-to-back. His 11-4 price tag on FanDuel is much more appealing. So I'll definitely have more on FanDuel than I will DraftKings. Bobby Portis, though, at 5.5, I think still a very good play on DraftKings. If you want to go back to Drew Holiday, I think he's going to go very overlooked on this slate. 6.5K. Not the best game yesterday, but he did get there. Bobby Portis is the main one, though, for me. I'll go over to you, DC. Anybody on the Knicks? I don't really have too much interest over there, but talk about the Bucks side.
Yeah, Bucks side. I mean, listen, if you like the value in Denver, JaMychal Green, Jeff Green, both kind of in that low to mid 3K range. If you love your team and you can fit Giannis at 12-3, I mean, go right ahead, right? Like he's just such a machine right now. 60 plus, I would expect it in this game against the Knicks, especially if those Knicks big men are out. Robinson, Noel, both questionable in this one, so we'll see. But potentially a big game for Milwaukee on the boards with Giannis, and then Bobby Portis looked awesome last night. That was a great game, by the way, with the Sixers.
Yeah, it was.
A lot of it. I mean, Portis, it's going to kind of do a little bit of everything, including taking a lot of 3-pointers, right? Knocking them down in the corner last night. So I really like Portis at 5,500, Giannis, and then the other guy would be Drew Holiday. Kind of waiting for him to have his first big game back from injury, but I think it's coming. He looked good yesterday. Just the fantasy production wasn't necessarily there. So yeah, give me the big 3 from Milwaukee. I've got faith in all 3. Portis at the price point, I think, is the best player on DraftKings among those guys at 5,500. The Knicks, I don't know. I can't really see going here. Don't love the matchup, obviously, for Julius Randle too much. So probably a fade for the Knicks. Although, yeah, I mean, Randle did crush him in that first game, 58 fantasy points. So yeah, he's obviously capable. Yeah, I mean, I just like the Milwaukee guys for the most part, and then New York. I don't know. I'm probably not going to squeeze those guys in along with the Bucks value. Now that now that Portis is playing big minutes and producing, you've got Giannis, and then you've got Drew Holiday back. I'll probably, for the most part, be staying away from the kind of the ancillary pieces on the Bucks for now.
Yep, I agree totally. Bobby Portis, my favorite. People in chat are saying Giannis easy fade, blah blah blah. I mean, he's gonna be less than 10% probably, and anytime you can get Giannis at less than 10%, especially with the value that we are getting to, I mean, an easy fade at someone that's less than 10%. I don't necessarily think that goes hand in hand, but Bobby Portis at 5.5, he is the best play on the Bucks. K Fleek burner, Deer District season. Yes, sir, K Fleek. That is for sure. It is always Deer District season. AP, gonna go over to you. Talk about Bobby Portis, talk about Giannis, and then are you crossing off the Knicks like we are?
Yeah, so I think Giannis's ownership is going to be suppressed. Optimizers, projections, they drive a ton of ownership, in my opinion, and a ton of decision makings. One thing, like I would do, if you have the time to play around with it, put set like I'm showing across the industry like a 55-point projection for Giannis. So go in there, put 70 in there. I'm not saying keep it at that. I'm not saying he hit 70. What you're trying to do is look at like the texture of a build, like what players are is the optimizer going to bring in? Because if Giannis has that 70 there, it's going to try to fit Giannis into your builds. And so just look at the builds and just see. I mean, if we get a script like last night where Philly came out shorthanded, they were playing fast, up paced. So like there's a few situations tonight where you're going to have a similar rotation to that one. You could, having Giannis in there and just a raw 60, 65-point game could be enough to get it done. So I'm not crossing him off just yet. I do think it's a tough matchup. I just want to play around with the projections a little bit on him because I am showing like a 5% ownership projection on him and bigs. These like the Knicks. If Mitch Robinson's out, I mean, man, we saw the Cavaliers just destroy them in the paint. So I would have a ton of interest in Bobby Portis and potentially Giannis, but I do think that price is pretty high. And then Randle, I mean, the other way you can look at this game too is the Bucks on a back-to-back. They had to play tough. I mean, Giannis put this team on his back there in the third quarter last night. The thing that usually goes title, as we saw in your little one-on-one match with Big T, is defense. I mean, when you're tired, defense usually goes. So, that would be a plus to a guy like Julius Randle there. And obviously he's going to be a guy that wants to put his team on his back. And I believe this game is like a TNT game or ESPN game, right?
I don't know if
so
it's a Wednesday, so it might be ESPN. Now that you say it, I think it actually might be. I'm not exactly sure.
I mean, hopefully. Otherwise, I'll just pull it up on League Pass. But this will be a fun one to watch for sure. And for me in this game, I'm going to play around with it. I'm not sold on anyone. Like I don't need to put anyone in here, but I do think the ownership projections are pretty interesting here with someone like Giannis and Randle.
Yeah, anytime Giannis sub 10%, I think it's always definitely going to be very interesting, especially with value on the slate. A couple of people in chat asking about Bobby Portis minutes, and they're concerned. I don't expect them to play 35 minutes like yesterday, but they are very depleted. I'm expecting about 28 minutes, somewhere around there. And he's such a good fantasy point per minute producer. He's only 5.5K. If you want to be concerned and use that as a reason to fade him, I guess, but 5.5K, I'm not worried about the minutes. I think 28 minutes, he can easily still break the slate. You agree? Sounds like DC.
Yeah, and I think he can easily get over 28 minutes. I pointed out yesterday his minutes have trended up every single game of the season. And now we got one more game. Now it's 6 in a row. 15, 19, 22, 24, 31, 35 minutes for Bobby Portis, 6 games in a row. I think I'd take the over on 28 minutes for sure.
Yeah, that was a generous medium projection too. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. We'll get into the next game though. Before 528 watching, 203 likes. we still got some time, so not too bad, not disappointing.
Yesterday they missed out on the plays that they didn't get to the 250, so we'll have to make it up for it today.
Wow, yeah, I did not know that, but hey, hit the like. It's not very hard. That's hurtful yesterday, not hitting the like and subscribe. For a man going hosting too. Hurtful. Just hit the little like. We appreciate it for sure. Pistons Rockets is ESPN's game 1.
Yeah.
Brandon says, wow. Hey, I mean, Cade and Jalen Green, that's a little exciting. I think the Bucks Knicks were on ESPN last week too, so wouldn't make sense to go back to back.
Let me ask you this. ESPN game, does that make you more interested in Cade Cunningham? Because for me it does. His first national TV game as a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, if you're debating two players and you have them pretty much similar and you just want a little hunch to push you one way, I can see it. He wants to show out a little bit. I thought you were going to say like Giannis or something. It won't do anything for Giannis.
That's the ESPN game. I was responding to something and oh my gosh, Pistons versus Rockets. Oh,
1 and 2. It should be a little fun though. If you want to go,
Cunningham's going off. I'm jumping on the Cunningham train. I'm in.
Yeah. You heard it from DC himself. I think he's a good play too. We're going to get over to the next game. Hey, come on. Before we get to the next game, Willie Hoops. Yo, dude, stop begging for likes. Get out of here, Willie. Come on now. You're watching a free show, buddy. It's not hard to hit the like button. I said a couple times too. You're better than that, Willie.
We wish we didn't have to beg. If you guys all just hit the like button, we would never have to mention it. So
yeah, Willie Hoops. Come on, buddy. You're better than that, I think and hope. All right, we're going to get into the next game, though. 8 p.m. Eastern lock, the Dallas Mavericks and the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls are favored by 3.5. We have an over-under at 215. I'm going to throw it to you, AP. Another spend up in Luka. Vucevic, I think, is interesting on FanDuel at a 7-7. Talk about this whole game.
Yeah, so there's pieces in this game I really like. I was trying to pull up my notes. So I'm not sure if I'm going to get to Luka. So like we've been saying it for quite some time. I believe on the show a few different times. Luka with Jalen Brunson getting minutes in this rotation, even if he comes off the bench, he's still getting about 30 minutes. In my opinion, he just kills Luka's ceiling because he's a higher usage guy. He demands the ball. Like he's fighting Luka for rebounds. So that's that in my opinion, that's why we're not seeing the triple doubles like we used to out of Luka. And then it's also just a little bit different of an offense. So I do think the Maverick side of this game is an easier fade. Zach LaVine, 7-6. I think he has what, 41, 47, 40. I mean, he's just a machine at getting you 40. So like, I think he's going to hit a lot of builds. Especially when you're running the projections there. And if you plug in like 43, 42, I think he's going to hit a ton of builds. So LaVine is really interesting as well. My favorite play in this game is Nikola Vucevic going up against his European brothers, Porzingis, Luka. All of them are boys. I had to look it up and I lost it, but I'll type it in real quick. So like I was curious because I'm like, man, sometimes these guys when they play each other, they just absolutely smash. And so I had to go and look it up, and I was blown away by how good Vucevic has been against the Mavericks. 63, 58, 55, 48, 52 in his last 5 games against them. So sign me up for Nikola Vucevic. He would have smashed against the Nets, but I don't think he made a shot in the first half. I think he literally went into halftime with 2 points. So the opportunity was there. And he only made 5 field goals and he got 44 DraftKings points. So sign me up for Vucevic here. I think he's going to be under 5% owned, and I think he's going to absolutely smash.
AP, I'm loving the tidbits, the little European buddies narrative. You guys heard it here first. AP, Vucevic, I love the call for sure. Yeah, it's not a game I'm really going to have too much of. I think Vucevic, interesting call. LaVine's price at 7-6. We know what his upside can be, so I think that's interesting. As far as the Mavs, I'm tired of getting a Luka snowflake in my lineup, so a 13-gamer. I think I'm going to test the waters with another stud there. Like the call for sure. DC, go over to you. Talk about this game.
Yeah, Zach LaVine, the guy that I'm looking at the most. I mean, we talked about how they've kind of turned up the pricing kind of across the board on the expensive players. we're seeing 500 to 1K price increases on a bunch of those guards, especially. Levine went the other way. His prices in the last 5 games, 8,200, 9K, 8,800, 8,600, 8,600. He went down $1,000. So especially relative to, the guards, especially went up in price for whatever reason, the slate, he becomes an even better deal, right? And he's just producing game in and game out. And this is without shooting particularly well. Last 5 games, 0 for 4, 3 for 10, 2 for 7, 1 for 8, 1 for 4 from 3. So the shot hasn't been falling, and despite that, he's been over 40 fantasy points in each of those 5 games. I think he's easily got 50 plus upside. I think he'll go a little bit overlooked, right? Because there's no, he'll have some ownership, but there's no injuries really for Chicago. So that kind of directs people elsewhere sometimes. So I like Levine. I like the Vucevic call. I doubt I'll get there myself, but you'll get him super low owned AP. So I don't mind that call at all if you're right about the, going off against his buddies there. So I like that one.
Yeah, there's going to be, a 13-game slate. They're going to be criminal ownership on guys like that. And there's going to be some 1% or 2% that absolutely breaks the slate, I think. So Vucevic absolutely could be that guy. Yep. Before we get in the next game, Brian, what's up, Run Pure fam? What's up, Brian? No echo. Yes, I finally, I don't think there's an echo over here. I think my setup's finally getting there. The lag on my camera in my face is going away slowly but surely, I think. So appreciate it, Brian. Hope it all continues and that wasn't a jinx. Frank, Willie, Willie, you're getting better. No, DeRozan, not Levine. Willie, you're not getting better. Come on, man. D-Gaz, thanks for hanging out with us. Matt, K-Fleek Burner. Brittany, 2 likes, 1 from my old account, 1 from this one. That's how you do it. We appreciate it. Travis Duarte, Junior, thank you guys all for hanging out with us. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. We appreciate it for sure. We'll get into the next game, though. The Oklahoma City Thunder, the Pelicans, 209 over under. The Pelicans are favored by 5. And we have news in this game. Brandon Ingram still is questionable. Herbert Jones still is questionable. Neither of them played last game. And if they're out, Joval at 9-1 feels a little expensive, but he has just been so good this year. He hasn't had a role like this in his whole career with the minutes and the usage. So 9-1's expensive, but if they're without Brandon Ingram, I think Joval definitely makes some sense. Devontae Graham would get a little bump, but who gets the Lou Dort treatment? I'm not a big fade someone because of defense kind of guy, but Lou Dort is one of the ones I do respect. I'm going to go over to you, DC, talk about this game.
Yeah, I'm not in love with this one. Obviously, if Ingram and Herbert Jones miss, maybe you look to a guy like Josh Hart. He's pretty cheap, 5,200, has produced these last 2 games. Of course, Joval always in play. This matchup, again, not one that would take him out of play by any means. I'd be more likely to play Valanciunas if Ingram's out, but I don't think he's massively affected by that. They play such similar or different styles, different positions, obviously. So I don't think Joval gets some huge bump with Ingram even missing. But still, yeah, I think a fine play. OKC side, if one of Gilgeous-Alexander or Josh Giddey were to miss time, I think the other one would just go absolutely ham. But they are kind of splitting a similar role back there to some extent. So I think I'm probably off both those guys for now, but they're definitely 2 guys to keep an eye on. And I just don't have, again, unless we get, if we get the news that the Pelicans guys are out, maybe you go to some of those guys. But I don't see anybody on the Pelicans that I feel the need to build my team around, right? Where I want to be able to play someone in case Ingram's out. I don't see that being a situation tonight where you need to have spots in case the news breaks right in this one. So mostly a fade on this game for me.
Yep, makes sense. Before I get to AP, David Pierce solo banked a $12 single entry yesterday using only this show. That's what we like to hear, David Pierce. Congrats to you. Can't get better than that. Solo Bing, $12 from the show. Nice job, Mangone. Who DC, were you on the show yesterday?
Yeah, right? Yeah, it was me, man. Yeah. I was in first in this contest for a while that he won. So come on, don't throw me under the bus like that, Kyle.
No, I wasn't throwing. I was making sure you got your props too. It slipped my mind. Congrats to you, David Pierce. Nice job with the crew yesterday. AP, talk about what this Brandon Ingram news does for you. What it gets you on Joval? Is this a whole fade game? Talk about it.
I'm kind of upset over here. DC is the Joval guy. That's your boy, isn't it? I thought that was your boy.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, this
I saw him
OKC
if Ingram's
team,
out personally. I think the
Yeah, I
usage.
mean, if Ingram's out, it's I would be interested. But still, man, if Drew Eubanks can put up 37 DraftKings points in 20 minutes against this OKC team, I can't imagine what Jovel can do. So I do have some interest.
A
I
lot
do
of
like
good plays on the slate.
I know I do like Vucevic. You can only play so many centers,
Yeah.
and I do think center I do think center is gonna be one of the keys to kind of unlocking the winners in the slate. But we'll see. 9-1, he's getting up there, but I could definitely see paths to him crushing. Yeah, and then I always try to under project like the Thunder, like Shea. I'm not going to play him at 9K. But the Pelicans have been so bad as a team. Like, it wouldn't surprise me to see some random guys get there from this game. I don't know who. Like, Baisley's a guy that can get it done at times, but he's also has a really low floor. Giddey is priced appropriately. Like, I'm not going to pay 6.5 for Giddey here. He's more of like a 5K type guy. Lou Dort, if he can make some shots, I mean, he's back to 35 minutes last 2 games. So he can't make a shot to save his life. So wouldn't be surprised if one of those guys go off, but I probably won't find myself clicking those names.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's not a game I'm really I think it's pretty much a cross off. If Brandon Ingram is out, Jovel would get the bump for me. But we're going to get into the next game. This game locks at 8 p.m. Eastern as well, the last game. The Charlotte Hornets, the Memphis Grizzlies, both teams coming off really good OT wins. LaMelo finally absolutely went nuclear like we expected. Of course, going back to LA, people should have saw that coming. He was still low owned, but I know our boy Glock had him in the core, so a lot of members did well. 2 teams coming off overtime wins. They get the day off, though. I don't know. I think it's interesting, but LaMelo's 10,000. Like, man, on the slate like this, 10K LaMelo, a little sketchy. DC, I'll go over to you, though. What you going to do with LaMelo? And then we got Dylan Brooks is questionable for this game. So that would be a bump down to Desmond Bane, DeAnthony Melton, guys like that. So talk about this game in general.
Yeah, this is yet another game with interesting kind of individual one-on-one matchups, right? We got the ESPN game with Cade and Jalen Green. I think this one with LaMelo and then Ja Morant, right? 2 young. I think if they're not there yet, getting pretty close to superstar point guards in the league. I've been on I like the Ja Morant side of this one better. Charlotte, worst defensive efficiency in the entire league, and I think the 3rd or 4th highest pace. So I think they've given up the most points of any team in the league on a per game basis. The Hornets have. Ja Morant at home here. Yeah, I'll take him at 9,900 over LaMelo Ball. But if you're looking to get really crazy, put the 2 together and you hope it's just an absolute shootout. I mean, both these guys have massive upside on any given night. So I don't mind those guys. They're both going to be very contrarian. Maybe Ja will be even lower owned than LaMelo just because of LaMelo coming off that giant game. I'm not sure, but those guys, I would need a few lineups to kind of get to most of those guys, to be honest. Other pieces, I mean, Miles Bridges gets the job done almost every time, but 8,100, it's just hard to pay that. I know he's earned the price tag, but it's still kind of hard to get there. I don't know. I kind of like the point guards, and I'll probably fade. I mean, most of my lines won't have either point guard either, but those are the 2 guys that I'm kind of willing to play if I'm going for more of a, kind of a value stars and scrubs approach to this slate.
Yeah, this isn't a game I'm going to have too much of, I don't think. A piece here and there. Rozier, 6'3" on DraftKings. He's only 5'3" on FanDuel, so he's definitely a better play on FanDuel. Didn't mention that SGA, though. He's 8'9" on DraftKings for the last game. I think he's like 7'7", maybe 7'4". He's somewhere around there on FanDuel. So Rozier and SGA, much better plays on FanDuel where they are DraftKings. Always important to look at both pricing or both sites and the difference in pricing. being there said, talking about Jaren Jackson. Yeah, he's 6.1K, and his ceiling is always there. He was in foul trouble, of course, again last time. He ended up getting there more minutes in OT, but if he's on the floor, if he's out of foul trouble at 6.1K, he has a very high ceiling. AP, talk a little about JJJ. Talk about Rozier, LaMelo, anybody you want to talk about in this game.
Yeah, so I mean, we should have a really fast pace here. I wouldn't be surprised if the overs hit. You'll get a lot of back and forth, and you'd naturally think, wasn't that going to be good for fantasy purposes? Well, injuries and price definitely matters, like you guys said. So LaMelo Ball 10K, very tough tag to pay. Same with John Morant. The interesting part here is Steven Adams. So like he's slowly, like 19 minutes the last few games. They're getting slow-mo Kyle Anderson in there a little bit more. We saw him grab a ton of boards. I think against this Hornets team, I think the game goes small, which takes me off of Plumlee and Adams, which makes the pace really nice. Which, I mean, Miles Bridges has shown really good upside. I think he's going to be like 1% owned tonight because he struggled the last few games, but he's shown 55 plus upside on the slate. If there's ever a time to play him, I think this would be kind of an interesting spot. I don't know if I'll get there. I'm not a Miles Bridges guy, but what I'm saying is, like, if you're a Miles Bridges guy, this spot's interesting. Kyle Anderson, like, this guy was really good off the bench, 28 minutes last game. If he's going to get another 26 to 28 here at 4.4K in a fast-paced environment where he's getting some front court action, I think he's really interesting. And then Jaren Jackson, as always, if he can stay out of foul trouble, he's going to explode one of these games. Like, he's going to put up a big number. We haven't seen it at all because of foul trouble primarily. But 6'1", I think you can make a case in tournaments. But I don't know if I'll get up to LaMelo or Ja, but I definitely get the plays. Those are two guys. Even the two next guys in the next game we're going to talk about as well are two guards that could break the slate for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's going to be a 1% own, whether it is LaMelo, whether it is someone in this next game. Like, there's so many good plays. This 13-game slate's a lot of fun. There are some concentrated spots with injuries and mispriced players on DraftKings, but man, do not be afraid to play a 1% LaMelo, 1% Miles Bridges, or anything like that. We're going to get into the next game. Sacramento Kings, San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs are favored by 1. 222.5 over under. Tyrese Halliburton still is questionable. Jakob Poeltl still is out. So Drew Eubanks remains in the starting lineup. This isn't a game, again, I have too much interest in. If Halliburton's out, I think Fox gets a little bum. Harrison Barnes has been really good this year at 7.5. Don't mind Eubanks at 4.6, but on a 13-game slate, I don't think I get there. A game that's going to go under-owned, and there's probably going to be a piece that gets there too. DC, break it down for us.
Yeah, I mean, Eubanks is fine. 4,600 is just a smaller slate. I think he'd be a great play, but it just doesn't seem like they're going to give him big minutes, basically, no matter what happens. So a little bit lukewarm on that. I'm just not sure how much upside he has, but the matchup's super good against Sacramento. So I do get it if you want to go in that direction. Yeah, if Halliburton misses, I think you can play De'Aaron Fox. We saw him have, one of those better games of the season last time out, put up 46 fantasy points at 8,200, but even that is kind of, I mean, it's fine, but that wouldn't, I don't think, end up being enough tonight. Yeah, certainly for GPP. So Fox would be okay. Davion Mitchell, I think, would be okay if Halliburton misses. We saw, I think, a season high in minutes for him last time out, or close to it, 31 minutes. Had a mediocre game, but he would become interesting to me. And then I do like, again, you throw him in that same bucket as LaMelo, Ja Morant, but DeJounte Murray's been incredible this year. Just fantastic, averaging close to a triple-double. I don't think that's something that's going to slow down anytime soon. He's been much more aggressive with the shot, can contribute defensively. So he's a player. We've seen it once or twice where he brings that 60, 70-point upside. We'll get him at no ownership. And certainly the matchup's pretty good, I think, against the Kings. So I do like DeJounte Murray. If you're trying to get contrarian, I rank them Murray, Ja Morant, and then LaMelo, those three guys kind of priced next to each other.
Yeah, DeJounte Murray's definitely been cooking this year, that's for sure.
Yeah,
my boy Alec in chat says De'Aaron Fox, is priced on FanDuel, 7.4K on FanDuel. Another one of those guys, Damian Lillard, SGA, Rozier. De'Aaron Fox at 7.4, especially if Halliburton is out, is definitely tasty. So good point there, Alec. Going to go over to you, though, AP. Break this whole game down.
Yeah, I agree with DC and with you. I mean, Fox is really interesting at 8.2 if Halliburton's out. We saw him get going. And our boy Spread, our local Kings homer, I asked him kind of, when I do the show with him on Fridays, the bet show, I asked him what's up with Fox. And he said, he watches all the games and he's like, no, nothing's really up. It's just they have so many bodies in that backcourt. So the second a guy like Halliburton is out, I'm really interested in someone like De'Aaron Fox at 8-2 in a matchup against DeJounte Murray, which should be back and forth. He's got very nice upside here. So that's some injury news to keep an eye on. DeJounte, just man, that price is just so high. Like
I'm
I
with
could
you.
see him. Yeah, I could see him getting there. Especially in this matchup, I don't trust Pop enough.
Have you played him all year is another question too, because if you really haven't played him like myself, then finally jumping on at 9-7, like it's just hard to do it. If you've been playing the whole time, it's a little easier because you know what he's doing. Have you been playing him AP all year?
I played him in a couple spots, but not recently because his price has just been sky high. So now it's even higher. I mean, it's been 9-1, 9-1, 9-2. Now it's 9-9, 9-7. So yeah, I'll probably be off of him, but I'm not going to play Drew Eubanks here. Another game that could kind of go smaller. So I don't feel the need to play anyone in this game, but it wouldn't be a surprise if Fox got there in tournaments if Halliburton's out.
Yep, definitely good points. Not a game I'm going to have too much of either. We have 5 games left. Looking at the likes, 614 watching, 289 likes. Pretty solid for sure. Should be an easy 300 and cruise above it. Good viewership today. Big slate. We appreciate you guys all hanging out with us, bringing the good mojo in chat. Some people in chat are talking about this Autumn Hoops big tourney today. A lot of RPS logos. It sounds like in that. Hopefully one of us does ship it. One of you guys does ship it. We get you guys to the top of the leaderboards. We're going to get into the next game, though. 9 p.m. Eastern, the Indiana Pacers and the Denver Nuggets. And yeah, this is the big news on the slate. Jokic is suspended 1 game. Michael Porter is out. Without Michael Porter, without Jokic, these prices have not adjusted. Aaron Gordon's 5-2. Will Barton 6-3 coming off a massive game. JaMychal Green's 3-2. Jeff Green's 3-4. Monty Moore's 4-4. PJ Dozier 4-1. I can go on and on and on. Denver is definitely you're going to need Denver in some of your lineups. There's going to be a couple of them that does get there. I'm going to go to you, AP, though. Which Denver guys do you want?
Yeah, I mean, you see it all the time in situations like this. We saw with Philly last night. Guys like Maxey, guys like Shake, they live for these moments. They get pumped up and they get some of them go off. Like Will the Thrill Barton, his nickname is the Thrill for a reason. This dude's going to put on a show tonight and he's going to get it done. I'm not worried at all about this Pacers defense. They have been a little bit better recently under Carlisle, but again, I think these guys are going to get going here. Monty Morris, Will Barton, Aaron Gordon, JaMychal Green, all guys that will be high priorities for myself. Jeff Green, a little bit less excited about him, but he's 3-4. So he's going to be popular. He's going to fit into a lot of builds. And so while the pace might not be the same as what we saw last night, it definitely could be. Look how many fire emojis. Like a lot of people look at the fire emojis. Look at all the Philly guys from last night. They all smashed. Similar situation. Don't get cute here. Get exposure to these guys. And then keep an eye out for, if Brogdon misses on the other side, we got Torrey Craig revenge. If you're into Torrey Craig, I'm not. But, the Nuggets dumped him as they should have. We've seen some like monster game. Like this dude puts up 48 against the Nets. And then he played 29 minutes against the Kings. And he puts up 9. So you never know what Torrey Craig's going to do. But if there was ever a spot where he should be somewhat motivated, it's here against his former team, against the Nuggets. That, again, is if Brogdon's out. LeVert's out. So Torrey Craig's going to get some run either way. But this game's going to be interesting. It's going to be one that I have exposure to, but more so the Nuggets side.
Yeah, LeVert's out. Brogdon is expected to play. But, yeah, Torrey Craig's going to be low-owned. We've seen him go nuclear. Definitely going to want some of this Denver side. Someone in chat, Lou, said, is there any way to follow the Autumn Hoops leaderboard without being in it? And I think a lot of people don't know this. So if you go on your desktop to DraftKings and you click on NBA and then you click on – there's a button that says View Live Contests. If you click on that, you can follow every single tournament if you're not in it and see all the leaderboards. So DraftKings on your desktop, click on the sport, then click View Live Contest, and you can follow along that way. Assume a lot of people didn't know that. Mangone actually taught me that too. So shout out to you, man.
I didn't know that. So thank you, Doug.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think there's a lot of people, and they asked how you do sweat it. So I think that's good information for everyone. Go to the website, click the sport, view live contests, sweat it out with the people. Thank you, man, going for that tidbit. Going to go over to you, DC, talk about this Denver side, and then somebody in chat, Junia, asked about Sabonis. So then touch on Sabonis in this Indiana side too.
Yeah, starting with Denver, I guess I'll be the contrarian voice here a little bit, or at least the devil's advocate, because I don't feel as I was all in on Philly these last 2 days at good nights because of it. I don't really see the situation. I mean, I get why you compare the two, but I don't see it being that similar. I mean, Philadelphia 8 or 9 healthy bodies in those 2 games. I mean, Denver's gonna have 12 guys, 13 guys that they could potentially roll out there, including guys like Bull, who hasn't played much this season, but did play the entire fourth quarter to end the last game. So, I think you'll see JaMychal Green start for Jokic. He's played almost all the minutes that Jokic hasn't played so far this year, but, I just don't feel that confident about the rotation. You've got young players like PJ Dozier, Bones Highland, Austin Rivers got in for 16 minutes last game. Campazzo, they played a 10-man rotation. Campazzo didn't even play in that game. He could be back in the rotation. And man, this offense, you take Jokic out of it, and they kind of struggle. They've got to obviously change everything about what they do when he's not on the court. This is one where, I like to run the numbers and just see how these players perform when you take Jokic off the court, when you take Michael Porter off the court, even going back to last year when you take Jamal Murray off the court. The numbers are a little bit alarming. Now, Will Barton has smashed in those situations. It seems like he's the guy that kind of takes over the offense, but Jeff Green, I mean, per 36 minutes, these last couple of years without Jokic on the court, you're looking at like 21 fantasy points per 36 minutes, and probably not getting 36 minutes. JaMychal Green, also not as – I like JaMychal way better than Jeff Green, but I don't think he's a lock for huge minutes. Again, if he gets to start at center, it's kind of hard to avoid him. But listen, we've played DFS long enough to know plays like JaMychal Green, Jeff Green, when they are not locked into minutes right now. I want to be clear about that. They might get them, but there are other guys that can play. This isn't a situation like the 76ers where it's like Korkmaz has just got to play. It doesn't matter if what is he was shooting? He's shooting like 1 for 13. He's still on the court the entire game because they had no choice or close to no choice. But I don't see it that way with Denver. So I know why people are on him. So many cheap price points. I think, you saw most of the 76ers get there with flame emojis yesterday. I actually think there'll be some snowflakes on some of these popular Denver guys tonight. Hard for me to predict who it's going to be exactly. I really like Will Barton, a core play for me. Beyond that, I'm a little gun shy on some of these Nuggets.
Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, definitely DC a little more worrisome. For Will Barton, he's a hooper. I think he's definitely going to be the one to get there for sure.
Can I ask one question though? So okay, like if you're putting Bull in there, I mean, Sabonis and Turner are going to destroy this kid. They're going to need JaMychal Green out there, a little bit of size. They're going to need Jeff Green out there for size, and Aaron Gordon. Their front court, they got nothing in the front court. So when you look at the Pacers, you got some big bodies over there that will destroy them. And
sure.
I get what you're saying exactly. The other problem too is like I ran the numbers too. Over the past 2 seasons, there's only been 200 minutes to where we've had a situation where MPJ, Jokic, and Jamal Murray were all off the court. So not a huge sample. So it's tough.
And Jeff Green's new too. Like it's kind of a different. Yeah.
I get what you're saying though. The other thing too, Malone, he could do whatever. Like we've seen Malone do that. Yeah. Like sometimes I like it. I'm going to have exposure, but no tilting in Discord. No tilting if we see snowflakes.
Listen, the truth is in a GPP where I know the players are going to be popular and I don't feel that comfortable with the situation, it's a 13-game slate, right? Like I can find other guys, especially when I know a lot of people are going to go down this path. So, if the Nuggets play well, like, and the rotation stays tight because the starters are playing well, those Nuggets guys are going to get there, right? I think that's inevitable. But I just see a lot of ways, especially with the rotation just being all messed up because Jokic is out, that maybe doesn't quite go that direction. I wish the matchup wasn't so good, right? Indiana's certainly a team you want to pick on at home, especially.
Everything you said definitely makes sense. Fading chalk players on a 13-game slate in a situation that's very unknown and we haven't seen a lot, Like I think that all makes sense in GPPs for sure. There's a lot of other pivots you can go to.
Our boy K Philippe, if you remember, go to Discord. He just posted a potential core that he's going to be running, and there's only one Denver guy there. So there you go.
There you go. Make sure you check it out. RPS Heater 25 gets you 25% off to see that core of K Falix and everything else up on the site. Before I get into the next game, I saw a funny comment. Joey San Martin says, does anyone else agree that DC looks like Seth Lugo, the pitcher from the Mets? Do you see it, DC? Have you ever thought about that or heard that one from somebody?
I've never heard the Seth Lugo comparison. It would be a very niche amount of people that would even make that comparison to begin with. So no, I haven't heard that one.
That's why
I'm looking him up right now. I'll see. I'll give my take after.
That's why I laughed even harder, because you don't see this name Seth Lugo very often, especially in a basketball chat. And then comparing DC, I like that comment for sure. That made me laugh, made DC laugh. So we appreciate that. Seth Lugo, did not expect to say that name.
I can see it. I can see it.
I'm gonna have to look it up too. I can't exactly put it.
I've been called worse.
I love it. Thanks for that comment. That was a good one for sure. We're gonna get into the next game though. Only 3 games left. The Portland Trailblazers and the Phoenix Suns. The other game that locks at 9 p.m. Eastern. DeAndre Ayton still is out, so JaVale McGee should be starting still. Blazers are coming off a back-to-back, or they played yesterday, so it's a back-to-back. CJ McCollum had the worst day so far this year. Damian Lillard started to get hot a little bit. He has a good price still on FanDuel. I'll go back to you though, DC. Talk about this game.
Sorry, go to AP first. I just got
AP. All right, so AP, go for it.
I don't really even want to talk about this game because I just want to cross it off. Because as I dove into it earlier today, when I was doing the one thing about the Suns is we know them as a defensively sound team. Hasn't really been the case this year. Opposing backcourts have had some success. I don't even want to talk about it because I don't want to play dusty-ass Dame Lillard. He's burnt me too many times. It's too sad. I mean, something's up there. I don't know.
What about FanDuel? Not to interrupt. He's 8-2 and DK's 10-1.
Sure.
So
one argument. He's out there saying the new rules aren't impacting him, but he's not taking as many free throws. He was always good at getting to the line. So I do think that is something that's impacting his game a little bit this year. But no, I'm not gonna JaVale McGee prices up. Frank the Tank appropriately priced now. Not as good plays, and 9K Chris Paul, 10K Booker. No, I'm gonna pass on this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm definitely not touching that price on Damon. I mean, he's playing hurt too. Yesterday, he drove to the lane and he came up grabbing his side. He's definitely not 100%, but 8-2 on FanDuel is a little interesting. DC, 8 and out. Anybody on this Phoenix side or anybody on Portland?
Yeah, I mean, the JaVale Kaminsky thing, you don't know where the minutes are going to go there for sure. I think they kind of cap each other a little bit. JaVale, I think there's so many centers that it's just hard to get to him, but I think he's an okay play. Lillard, yeah, I mean, I haven't really jumped on yet. 36% from the field, 25% from three. I saw a video on Twitter, someone breaking it down where he was one of the guys that would, get people in the air behind the three-point line, jump into them, get to the line. You see the free throw attempts way down for Lillard. And then I also wonder if the just shooting in general from beyond the arc is down a little bit because of that, where when you're shooting, now he knows he can't get bailed out, by a kind of phantom foul call anymore, and it just has him thrown off a little bit. And I fully expect him and Harden and these other superstars that the rules have affected to figure it out, because that's what they've done their whole life to become the best basketball players on earth. But right now, they're just seem off. I just need to see it, and I have no idea why Damian Lillard's price tag went up on DraftKings. It just seems absurd to me. I'm not paying 10.1K. No thanks.
I'm with you. Yeah, Dame. I think it's also when you're a shooter, of course, you go through cold stretches, you get off. There's going to be Dame's one of these games. He's going to go off and go bonkers for sure. But at 10-1 on a 13-game slate, I'll take my chances. It's not that. FanDuel, a little more interesting. Yeah, I think it's part of the new rule change. McCollum is starting to take over. He's been playing really good, so he's gave McCollum a little more reins. And then, just you miss shots sometimes, and that happens in basketball. But I am with you. Dame 10-1, not going to go there. FanDuel, more interesting, but I definitely get being hesitant with him. We're going to get into the next game. 2 games left. DC, I'm going to go back to in this one, so I hope you're ready, because it is your Minnesota Timberwolves taking on the Golden State Warriors. Golden State's favored by 7.5, 222.5 over under. Steph Curry's price at 11.7 is absolutely insane, but if you take what he did last game, of course, you're probably not going to get a nice 80 piece out of him. But hey, you pay anything for a nice 80 piece. Steph Curry absolutely on fire. You love Anthony Edwards, Towns, break down this whole game.
Wolves are hurting my feelings. They got me all excited. They beat your Bucks. You know, we had a nice little argument on the show.
They did.
The Wolves beat the Bucks. Then they dropped 5 in a row, including 4 in a row at home. Back to the old Timberwolves. Anyway, kind of on the side there, but D'Angelo Russell back in the fold now. He obviously cuts into Edwards and Towns, where it's kind of the 3 guys sharing the ball. It gets a little bit tough, right? Especially when they're all expensive. I actually think Russell may be the most enticing to me of the 3, down at 7.1K on DraftKings, get a nice discount. And the revenge factor too, right? Russell going back into Golden State. Like, I could see him being especially aggressive in this game. He's normally an aggressive shooter, scorer anyway. So he's a little bit interesting to me just as a super contrarian option. Edwards is fine. Towns is fine. But not my favorite plays on this slate. And then on the Warriors side, you get Steph Curry at 1 or 2% ownership, I think, at 11.7K, which, if that's where you want to go, I can't argue with that whatsoever. Obviously not all that likely to get there, but we saw what he can do. We've seen it many, many times over the course of his career. Draymond Green, I think a decent play against a Minnesota team that can be obviously sloppy at times, losing 5 in a row. That's the kind of team I like Draymond Green in, right? You want the Warriors to kind of control the game and for them to win. That's typically when Draymond has his best performances. But overall, not super excited about this one. Not a game I'm saving spots for in my lineups, at least.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not going to have too many pieces. Kind of one of the bigger spreads on the slate. The injury news, both teams are relatively healthy. My favorite one would probably be Jordan Poole at 6.3. I've been playing him recently. If Minnesota tries to take out Steph, Jordan Poole can get hot for sure. He's a knockoff version for sure, Dollar Tree version of Steph Curry, but he likes to chuck it. He can get hot. He's showing a ceiling. AP, break down this game for us.
Yeah, pretty easy. I mean, the Warriors, for me, it's Steph Curry or no one. And the reason I'm not on Poole, and I'm kicking myself. I loved. I wouldn't mind if someone played Poole, but I was doing the research the other day, and I was just like, Curry's going to explode for like a big number here soon. And I kept raising up his projection in the optimizer, and it just wasn't hitting. That's why sometimes, like these studs you like, sometimes when their price tags are way up there, you got to put like 70 in there. Even though they might not get 70, just put them in there so that they'll hit your builds, just to see what the builds look like. But man, after a 50-point game, I mean, if there's one guy out there that could do it again back to back, it's Curry. And I'm serious about that. But I don't like it here. They got Pat Bev is just so annoying. They're probably going to have him chasing Curry around, and he's probably going to foul out, and then they'll throw like Malik Beasley or someone at him. I'm not really sure who their best defender is. They got is Okogie. Is he getting any run, DC?
He's just like a defensive.
Yeah, they got a few guys that they could just throw at him. But D'Lo, I kind of get. But the problem is the Warriors have been good defensively. They've also just been blowing teams out. And so that's a huge risk. So Towns again, but center's loaded. I'm kind of leaning towards fading this game.
Yep, I'm with you. Not a game I think you got to go overboard on. Not one of my favorites. There's 2 games that lock in 10 p.m. Eastern. That is one of them. So if I don't have any spots in any of those last 2 games, I'm definitely fine with that on this slate. Before we get into the last game, 611 watching, 325 likes. You guys absolutely crushed it. No more asking from me. If you haven't hit it and you want to hit it, we appreciate it. If not, appreciate you hanging out with us. But like I say, not as much as the people that did hit the like button. Maybe you guys can take 5th and 6th and everyone else take 1 through 4. But we appreciate you guys hanging out with us on this Wednesday. We're going to get into the last game of the day. The Miami Heat, the Los Angeles Lakers. The Heat are favored by 5. We have a 217 over under. Bam and Tyler Hero are on track to play today. LeBron's still out. So Russell Westbrook, AD maybe. DC, going to go over to you. Break down this game.
Yeah, I mean, to me, for the Lakers, it just comes down to those studs, right? Do you want to fit in Russell Westbrook? Do you want to fit in Anthony Davis? I have no problem with either. We saw Westbrook bounce back from 2 bad games with a monster kind of vintage Westbrook triple-double performance. Could certainly do it again. I mean, he's in that. There's a large group of stars today, right? There's kind of I think a somewhat small group of quote-unquote scrubs, including several guys from the Denver game. And then there's a large group of studs to pick from. And certainly Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook have to make the pool in terms of guys you're at least considering. I'm not going to quite make it for me. I don't think I'll actually probably end up going a little bit more balanced myself, but both guys totally fine plays. Miami side looks like Bam and Hero are going to play. If either of those guys were going to miss, that game would have become much more interesting to me. But at this point, yeah, these last 2 games, I'm going to kind of hope they dud out a little bit because I don't anticipate having much from this game either.
No, I'm with you. We did get Cleveland starters. Ricky Rubio is not starting. People are asking about it. He's still an elite play, I think. He's going to get all.
I absolutely agree with that. And I think a pretty sizable bump for Darius Garland here, and Mobley and Jared Allen to some extent, because those 3 guys are flanked by Dean Wade and Isaac Okoro, who really don't do a whole lot.
Yeah.
I would
they
advise
don't do anything.
And then
I mean, though, you make a good point. Like those guys suck. They literally don't do anything.
Garland's going to have every opportunity to start this game to get off to a scorching hot start. He's the type of guy you can see him put up, 15, 16, 18 fantasy points in that first 8 minutes of his rotation. I assume it'll be Rubio in at that point, and then Rubio finish the half most likely, and Garland obviously will check back in and they'll play together. But staggering their minutes, I guess, makes sense to me. Doesn't really impact my feelings about Rubio too much. It's going to lower his ownership to at least as much of a degree as it impacts his projection, I think. I think Rubio just became, yes, a little bit of a worse play in cash games, but still a play, but a better play in tournaments. Give me the lower ownership. I'll still play the guy.
Yeah, I still think 5-2. Like I said, I wasn't even as sure. I think that he would start, but now he gets more usage in the second run. He doesn't play with Garland as much. I think, like you said, I think that helps Garland the most out of all of them. So I definitely with it. 8B, if you want to touch on that news, but then touch on this Miami and Lakers game.
Yeah, I'll start with the Heat. I mean, his team's going to come out and just kill someone after the whole Jokic stuff. I mean, it took everything for this Lakers team to beat the Hornets. Everything. You saw Anthony Davis in the tunnel, third quarter, going to throw up. And I mean, I'm ESPN game too, late night ESPN game. Got to think that the Heat will have all their guys, and I think they could just destroy the Lakers here. So
I'm on -5 Heat too.
I'm under on having this game. I mean, you could see a hero come off the bench and just torch them. I'll be off this game.
Anything you want to add with the Rubio, Garland, all that news with the starters, or pretty similar? You still like Rubio?
Yeah, I mean, all I'll say is if you're tilting Ricky Rubio 4 or 5 minutes into the game, you are going to be on read only tonight for the rest of the night, probably. So that's all I have to add.
Yep, I like that for sure. AP,
someone's going to be doing that. Someone's going down.
Oh, every night.
AP knows he's got the hammer down in Discord. That's for sure. No tilting over there. But we got through all the games. 13, 5 o'clock. So hey, that was as good as a time I think that we can do. It's going to be time for the plays of the day, though. I'm going to go over to you first, AP. The gentleman's call of the day. Who do you got for us?
Yeah, it's a guy who we talked about. He's going to be 2% owned. He's a big, going against the Mavericks, going against his boys from Europe. Multiple 50-point games, five straight 50-point games against Dallas. Nikola Vucevic, I'm going to say for 55 plus, potentially more to break the slate tonight.
Vooch, yeah, 1%. Doesn't get better than that. Little gentleman's call play of the day. You got some whiskey in your hand. 1% own Vooch takes you to the top. I like it for sure. I'll go to myself for the SO play of the day. Wow, it's a tough one for sure for 13. I'm going to go Jaren Jackson Jr. at 6.1K. I think there's tons of upside there. I hope he can keep his hands to himself and stay out of foul trouble and finally get that explosion game against Charlotte. So give me JJJ as the SO play of the day. We're going to go over to DC to cap it off. If you want to roll two like you usually do, DC, that's all on you now. The mom's basement play of the day. Who do you got?
I don't have any APs around. I learned my lesson. I'm giving out 2 plays of the day, but mom's basement play of the day with the news that Rubio is not in the starting lineup is Darius Garland. I liked him a bunch. Even when I thought Rubio was going to start, sticking with Rubio, but I'm adding Garland in there. I don't think people will react properly and realize that it's just going to be all Garland, whether or not the assist, a potential assist turn into assist or shot falls, he's going to have all the opportunity in the world early on. So yeah, he's on my favorite team today is the Cleveland Cavaliers. So it'll be I'll be the one in chat tilting in the first 5 minutes and read only. We'll see.
DC on read only. That'd be quite the story for sure. We got Vooch, we got JJJ, we got Darius Garland. Thank you guys all for hanging out with us. It was a lot of fun, a lot of games for sure. You're not going to want to miss the Up to Lock show with JSU, Big T, and Holden. If you're not a member and you want to see that and get all the core plays, cash chart, heat map, you name it, the promo code is RPS Heater 25. It gets you 25% off. That's going to do it for us, though. We appreciate if you hit the like button on your way out, but you guys already smashed it. Good luck tonight for AP, DC, myself, Titletown. Good luck, everybody.